Happy Africa Day! Happy
Hey,
Africa Day, Bose, my love. How are you?
thank you. I'm so well. Thank you very much. It's good to see your face. Thank you
It
for
is
having me.
it is good to see your face, child. Every time I run into you, I'm like this. I get so excited because you just glow. You have this effervescence, this anointing, this light, and I always feel so amazing when I'm by you in your presence.
Amen.
Yes.
Amen. I thank you for that. I do. Because you know the feeling is so mutual.
Oh, no
Every
question.
time I see you, I just want to do better.
Yeah, thank you.
Honestly, I want to use the culture to its fullest potential because I see you doing it.
Thank you.
And even with this platform, what?
Yes.
You see what's going on?
We
Do
are
you even
speaking
recognize what's
life.
going on?
We are speaking life into people. We are sharing amazing stories. And I couldn't honestly, and we had talked, and just so everyone on here knows, Bo St. John's a very, very busy woman. And she was one of my first calls I made. She was like, I got you. And she was doing something with Katie Couric the next day. And she was doing this. And she flew a spaceship here. And she was doing it. But I said, when I'm able to get Bose on the show,
Ooh.
her game is on another level. So all of the people that saw the promo were super excited to meet you who hadn't met you. And then as they start discovering, they're like, wait, she does what?
That's very kind. That's very kind.
Yes.
But
Yes.
it's like you literally are my brother forever.
Yes.
And your lovely wife is my sister forever.
Yes.
And your children are my lovely nephews forever. Okay?
That's right.
And
how's
so,
Lael doing?
Anything.
How's Lael?
Listen, Lael's living her best life. Okay?
Right. No
she's
school?
like, she's like, quarantine what? Like I'm good.
Right.
She's created all kinds of things. She's having virtual play dates. She's living.
That's
having
beautiful.
a great time.
That's beautiful. Well, I'm sure not actually physically having to go to school at first was a thing, and now I know they're missing their friends because my sons, I did not want to buy your nephews a basketball court at all, and because they couldn't go to gyms, I had to buy one. They were just fighting. Before I came here to sit with you, I had to play some Fela Child and clear my brain. I had to.
I'm into
Yes.
it. Okay.
But how are you? You good? How's everything considering?
Well, you know what? Exactly. Everything considering. That's actually the biggest underlying issue is the consideration of all things. And you know what I think is really amazing is that I don't think we say that enough or that we do that enough in our regular normal lives.
Right.
Take into consideration everything that is going on. I think because we're all facing this particular moment in time, it makes that question so much more salient.
Yes.
People actually pause when they ask the question. They don't just rush into the answer.
Because they have to process.
Right? Because they're like, wait, how am I doing? Because you can't just say fine.
Right.
That doesn't seem acceptable right now. You don't just say like, oh, I'm good. You really consider it and you say, you know what? And you process. And so I hope that's one of the things that we take out of this particular time is just actually pausing to take into consideration the fullness of our experiences before we rush into the answer or that we're like casually, before we're casually just, oh yeah, everything is cool. Let's consider what are the things that are going on in your life?
And that's
what
what
the
I
pressure
think.
that you feel? What are the challenges that you're facing which make things good or not? Or, I feel like right now I am essentially in a constant check-in with myself to make sure
that's what I was going to say. I was going to say, Bob, I think that after this, we're going to be more thoughtful, period. One, for our sanity and our well-being, because we've had a lot of time to look in the mirror and process. When you're on the go all the time, you can't really process like that. And I think even when it comes to other people, and that's what I'm trying to instill in your nephews, it starts with you two, and then it goes out to the world. So let's figure out how to communicate. And I think this has set us down. Now we have to have a whole nother presentation coming out of this because everything is going to be over analytical. Everything's going to be over processed. But I think getting in tune with yourself right now is the best thing you could do.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, and that's for me what is the most important point right now, is really just taking care of myself, mentally, physically, obviously. I think we say that, they're like throwaway things that we say all the time.
Right.
I want to be well, like, oh, I'm living my best life, self-care Sunday. We say
Right.
all these things. Like, but when you actually think about them, it is the real truth of what wellness actually means. And being productive. And I've seen, how many memes have we seen, which are like, oh, if you don't get something done at this time, you never lack the time, you only lack the discipline. And I'm like, no. That's not true.
Yes.
Like, perhaps what was happening was that you were not actually taking care of yourself.
Hello?
You actually weren't processing what is going on within yourself. And that's why you can't produce. Not because you don't have time and not because you don't have discipline.
And another thing, I got to go get Michelle Obama because I know that bobblehead is going to need to be in my right hand, but because you're my Michelle Obama. But I think also too, health is a big problem in obviously in the way that people are getting COVID. Like, and I think if people aren't realizing now that you have to eat better, that you have to find, tune your diet and get with the immunity building foods, and like this is a necessary thing. Let me get a Michelle for you. Hold on.
Oh, I love you.
I couldn't. It's important.
Yes.
So before we get started, I want to say Happy Memorial Day and Happy Africa Day at the same time. Your dad obviously was a big muse in your life. He was in the Ghanaian army. So I don't know if that has anything to do with our memorial, but you do. And so, you know what I'm talking about? Love.
Yeah.
And it's Africa Day. How do you feel about that? I know it's a big deal. You've been starting the surge for Ghana since, you called D Nice and I last trying to take us from Anguilla. I was like, we want to come. We want to come.
Remember, I was like, yo, you have to come with me because it's like, the movement has been happening for quite some time. But it's just getting hot right now, which is okay. I'm like, hey, whenever it comes, however it comes, fantastic. But honestly, I think the real truth of it, and I should just posted this because it's actually the statement that inspired me to get more serious about my sort of like diasporic understanding of what we are as Black people need to do across the globe. Because for most of my life, all of my life, I have been Ghanaian, right? Yeah. It's like, regardless of where I've lived, even though I was born in the US, my parents were like, you're Ghanaian, this is your culture, you're going to represent us well, Yes. And I've always been very much a proponent of taking people back to the continent because even when I was a kid, people would be like, oh, they talk about Africa like it was Mars. You know, and they'd be like, I don't know if I can go. And I'm like, no, you can go. You can go with me. So I've been taking people back for a long time. However, in 2018, I heard the then, or actually it was 2017. It was the newly elected president of Ghana. He was speaking at an event, slight flex. We were both getting an award. And
talk your shit, Bob. Talk your shit.
Okay. And he made a statement there it was during United Nations Week. And he had begun to make the declaration that 2019 should be the year of return for Africa, right? For Africans everywhere.
And is this the president you quoted in your post today? Because I love that
correct.
Quote, by the way. Okay.
Yes. And that is, it like shook my whole spirit because, obviously we are all fighting, especially in this country, in the US, for the equality of our Blackness, for the misuse of our bodies, for the, the celebration of our pain. Like, we're fighting against that every single day. Right. And as I sat there and listened to him, and thinking about like my own behavior and my own fight and, what it feels like to be a Black woman walking around these corporate spaces every day, just in and out, trying to make myself better, but then also trying to represent for so many people, because I know if I don't make it, the next one's not making it.
Come on.
Okay. And what he said it hit the point straight on, because we've seen so many divisions over centuries. And obviously we all know the lie, but we're not listening. We're not listening to the truth. And what he said was so important to me because he said, until the continent of Africa is respected, no person of African descent anywhere will be respected. And I was
Round of
like,
applause in the comments. Put a round of applause in the comments.
Like, I was like, until the concept, because think about that. Think about descendants from any other place in the world, okay? You have your Europeans, maybe they're Italian or French or German. You know the difference. They make sure you know the difference. You know, they're celebrating their culture constantly. And therefore, there's a certain level of respect. We all have respect. Yeah. You know what I mean? Even if you're going to eat the food, you're like, oh, yo, this is the best Italian spot. They've got the right tomato sauce. You put respect on that. But what happens when you talk about Africa? You know, like we talk about it like we have had the worst marketing, the least of which, you know, for like the last, not just 400 years, but specifically in the 80s and 90s. You know, Sally Struthers, I'm looking for her. You know, she was up on here with the children with the distended bellies and the flies on their eyes. Who wanted to be that? Did you want to be that? No, I didn't want to be that either. And so we weren't shown the beauty of our continent in a way that made us really proud to claim it. And so, of course, we're going to disrespect Africa. And of course, we as Africans, all of us are going to be disrespected. So as soon as he said that, I was like, oh, okay, I understand. My new mission is to understand how to get all of us, especially those I feel like in my you know, group of people, you know, my colleagues, my friends, the people in my circle, you, like all of us, you know, we are of the same ilk. And we have a certain platform, we have certain access, we have certain success. But if we are not celebrating Africa, then we're also in the wrong.
That's right.
So I want to make sure that we do that. And
listen, Bose, they came to get the right marketer. You hear me, honey? So I want to take people on a journey with Bose, because what they don't understand is you were born in the States, but at 6 months, you moved back to Ghana. And you were pretty much raised in Ghana until you were almost a teenager. I think you moved back when you were like 12 years old.
Yes, that's right.
How was that? I'm a journalist. I do my research. How was that? Like literally, I mean, because you obviously didn't know where you were born at 6 months. You grew up in Ghana. And so coming here as, you know, an African child, as far as you know, going to Colorado Springs, Colorado. How was that transformation from Africa to Colorado? I need to know.
Right. Woo, it was a tough transition. I mean, but it's such a great follow-up because, what I said about the respect of Africa, you know, and the lack thereof everywhere in the world was certainly felt when I was 12. You know, and we moved back because I knew where I came from.
That's right.
You know, and I knew it was beautiful. I knew that there were, you know, beautiful fashion and gorgeous, different melanated skin.
No question.
Because, you know, we're not all just one monolithic group, as my, mentor and friend Spike Lee would say. We come in all kinds of shades, you know, and we have great food and we have awesome music and, you know, just beautiful languages, and our accents are musical.
Yes.
You know, and so when I came to Colorado Springs and I was made to feel ashamed of that, you know, made to feel like that wasn't something to be celebrated and somehow I should be ashamed of that kind of history, I didn't know how to react, to be honest. You know, I wasn't sure how to make that, like, to resolve that conflict. Right. And my mother, I mean, God bless her, like, she is quite a force. It's not lost on me that the apple doesn't fall far from that tree.
That's right.
You know, because she refused, you know, she refused to be to assimilate. You know, for her thing was like, listen, we are living in this country.
That's right.
And this country can now be home. But that doesn't mean that your culture and who you are should be forgotten.
And listen, I'm gonna tell you something, and to do that in Colorado Springs, Colorado, that took not only guts, but that was just like a whole nother planet in itself. Yes. Colorado's not like a major metropolitan city.
No, it is not. It is not. And that's the thing, is that even my teachers were woefully ignorant of what Africa meant, or, you know, what kinds of, I mean, I had all kinds of questions. I mean, people ask me things like, you know, do y'all have clothes? You know, did you sleep in trees?
Crazy.
You know, all kinds of crazy things. And so
Crazy.
I had the sometimes the burden and sometimes the privilege of educating,
That's right.
you know, of letting people understand who I am and why I'm
Yeah.
proud of it. I mean, I remember like, you know, like show and tell type of days, you know, where they'd be like, okay, you know, you've got the project on your heritage.
Right.
You know, I remember this one, you know, history class where they had us come and talk about, you know, where your family was from. It was like some sort of family tree, something. And basically I have right here, this is worn by our royalty. And you know,
Right.
I brought it to the school, and you know, I was dressed head to toe. I mean, listen, I knew I looked sharp. You know, you couldn't tell
Hello.
me nothing. Okay. And all right. And I remember like, you know, somebody being like, oh, that's there's a lot of color. You know, it seems so bright. And I was just like, that's because you see this skin right here? All
Hello.
kind of colors shine on it. Okay.
Come
That's
on.
why we wear so much color. Okay. So don't, yeah, please. We're beautiful. Don't
Yes.
stop. So, you know,
Well,
it's been a real journey of self-discovery also.
yeah. Well, I love that honestly for our era because, you know, you were fortunate to have both parents. Like, you know, I know growing up single parent, it was still the discovery factor. I mean, you didn't have the home structure that you would have liked and get the information. That's why I love your story because you fast forward, you 1999, you graduated from Wesleyan, which your father also went to Wesleyan, right?
Yeah.
And clearly education's a big deal. But the one fun fact I learned about your father, and I wasn't really hip to the word until today, it was he got his PhD in ethnomusicology.
Yes.
Ethnomusicology, for those who don't know, like me earlier today before the show, is the study of music from the cultural and social aspects of the people who make it. And it encompasses distinct theoretical and methodical approaches that emphasize culture, social, material, cognitive, biological, and other dimensions of context of musical behavior. He has a PhD in that.
Correct.
I'm
Yes.
very interested. I'm very interested in that. Let's
Yes.
talk about Dad. I know he was your is your superhero. Let's talk about that.
Yes, Dad, whoo, Kenny. Dad is a whole vibe, a whole mood, a whole inspiration. Like I wish that I could figure out a way, which now that I'm telling you, I will find a way in the universe.
Right.
Universe, hear me, to make sure that his story is told properly.
Come
You know,
on.
because he has an impossible story. So
Because I haven't heard of too many people. By the way, Bose, I haven't heard of too many people that start their thing off with Reverend Doctor. I mean,
Okay.
we know
Listen.
a Reverend Doctor. There's something very interesting about your father. I was getting enamored as I was reading.
Yes,
so
yes, Reverend Doctor. Okay,
Yeah.
and that's just the beginning of the titles. Okay, so
Yeah.
he was he was an orphan by the time he was 14 years old.
Wow.
In the very western, you know, rural part of Ghana. I mean, it's just like, you know, a place where the statistics aren't in your favor that you'll
Wow.
make it out. And so by 14, he was an orphan and he, you know, couldn't afford to continue going to school. So he dropped out and he began, you know, just like sort of scrounging around for food, any kind of money he could make, any kind of way.
Right.
He is a natural musician. So like he's a savant when it comes to music. He can hear it and play it. And doesn't matter the instrument. And so he started playing wood instruments. Like he would make them and then just play them like wherever he was as his own entertainment. And then when he was 17, he lied and said he was 18 and joined the Navy, the Ghanaian Navy, because he heard, of course, that they would pay you and house you and clothe you. And so he was like, yep, here I am, sign me up. And the most amazing thing in the story is that he, like I said, he's a savant, a natural musician.
Right.
And he joined the naval band. And they asked him what instrument he could play, and he just pointed to one. It was the clarinet. And they said, oh, okay, how long have you been playing? And he was like, years. He'd never even seen one in his life. And he started playing it on the spot. He became so good at playing, they became first chair. Wow. And when the American delegation came to visit Ghana, the naval band played at the reception. And one of the people in the delegation, an American man, heard him play, and he had a solo, heard him play, and said that he should apply on a musical scholarship to a university abroad. And my dad was like, okay, I don't know. Yeah, sure. Right. But okay, divine intervention. Okay.
More bobbleheads.
Intervention. Right? Yeah. That man followed up and sent him the paperwork, and it was for a Fulbright scholarship. And for those who don't know, a Fulbright scholarship is the highest foreign scholarship there is. Like, there is nothing higher. They award very few students from across the world. Yes. Now, the craziest thing about this is that because my dad had to begin working at 14, he had no secondary school education. So he basically had the equivalent of like up to 7th or 8th grade education, and he didn't have anything else. Right. But he applied for the Fulbright scholarship, was awarded it, and then showed up in Middletown, Connecticut at Wesleyan University to get his graduate degrees. So he with
the 8th grade education, ladies and gentlemen.
Correct.
The dream is real.
Yes, correct. And so think about it, 8th grade through what you would consider a 4-year college, he did not have that.
Wow.
And he went straight to a master's degree program, got a master's degree, and then got 2 PhDs, one in ethnomusicology and the other in anthropology.
Shit! This man had an 8th grade education, and you talk about you can't get your ass off the couch, and he left Africa to pointing at a clarinet. Hello?
Yep. But then also, because it's Africa Day, I will say this, because he was part of the generation, they came and got a whole bunch of Africans, the talented 10th, right? Pulled them off of the continent into the Americas and into Europe to educate them. And he was one of those people. And he said, you know what? Like, I don't want to stay here. I'm going to go back to the continent because what I've learned, I need to apply. And so he went back to the continent, went back to Ghana. He's very much a Pan-Africanist. So he's very much like the Nkrumah. Kwame Nkrumah came from his region in Ghana. So they're of the same sort of mindset that this is not about just Ghana. We're talking about Africa and Africans. Right. And so he went to then work in the university there and then joined the government. And so he served as a member of parliament for a number of years. And
that's so awesome. That's so awesome. So you come from a long line of superheroes, clearly. But it's ironic to me because I feel like after college, you just mentioned you were mentored by Spike Lee. You go to Arnold Worldwide or something, and then you get with Spike Lee. It's Spike DDB, was it?
Yeah, that's right.
And so what was that? He had a whole, I never even knew of that because I'll tell you how I found out about you. But what was Spike DDB?
Yeah, so Spike has an agency that he founded in JV with DDB Worldwide, which is one of the biggest ad agencies on Mass Avenue. It's still in existence, by the way.
Wow.
And the reason why he created it was because remember, like in the early 90s, he had begun doing all those commercials, or mid 90s.
Yes.
Doing all those commercials for Nike and
Jordan.
Jordan and all of that. And so, of course, Spike, being who he is, was like, well, why am I waiting for these people to cut me the check? Like, I should just create my own ad agency and then do this for everybody,
Hello?
Okay. So he created Spike DDB, his own joint venture. And I was, at the time, I had just graduated from college, and I wanted to go to medical school because, as we've discussed, African parents who were like, that's what you're going to do. And I was like, okay. Right. And I happened to be good in science and math. So I was like, all right. But also secretly, I really love the party time. You know what I mean? I just love the culture. I love music and fashion and style and politics and all the things. And I was like, I don't know if medical school is my thing, but how about I just take a year to go figure it out?
That's right.
So I moved to New York City. I didn't know a person. I didn't know not one person. There was actually one person I knew who I'd gone to college with, and she was getting a graduate degree in film. She lived in Harlem. And I was like, yo, can I just stay with you for 3 months? Let me just, while I find a job. Yo, the thing about being young and having this naive is that you will just do whatever.
Whatever.
I'll figure it out.
And it's okay.
We should have that same energy right now. We need that same energy. I'm just going to figure it out. You know, it's like anybody can tell me that it's not going to work, or they've never seen anybody do it before, or that it's not possible. But like, we need that same energy
Right.
that you feel like you can accomplish anything simply because you want it. Simply because you want it.
Crazy.
You know, and that's what happened to me. So I moved to New York, and I started.
And by the way,
yeah.
Bo, let them know, like, because New York wasn't for play back then. Like, New York would eat you up and spit you. It was so many young, black, talented, whether you had no degree like me or a Wesleyan degree like Bo, but you had to really get in it, and it was no joke.
It was no joke. It was, they weren't playing with you, okay? You weren't just gonna come and like live the dream. You know what I mean? There's this, I wish this spot was still open, but there was a spot that was on the corner of 125th Street and like right under the 1 and 2 train on Broadway. It was called Floridita, okay? And Floridita was like a Spanish spot, okay? Like Dominican. And they had like all kind of good food up in there. But let me tell you something, Kenny Burns. When I moved to New York, I couldn't afford none of that, okay? Zero money.
Come on.
And so I would, and there was this amazing woman who worked behind the counter, and there was like a glass of like, you know, like fresh baked bread that was made every day. And I would walk in there, you know, on my way to go work for wherever the temp agencies that I was at, so that I could find a job. Right. Because what people don't know is that I have no kind of cell phone. Okay.
Hello.
And so what I would do is that I would wait at Floridita, and then at 7:35 I would go over to the corner, the phone, and put in my quarter, and then call the temp agencies to see if there was anything available for me that day.
Come on.
And if nobody answered, I go back over to Floridita, sit there for another 10 minutes. 7:45, I go back over there and call again. And then nobody answered, I go back to Floridita, sit there for another 10 minutes. Hello, anybody here? And by 8 o'clock, I would have definitely made it through, and I would know if there was a job for me. And this woman, I would sit there, and I wouldn't buy anything because I couldn't afford it.
That's right.
And like, so after I would say about the first week, she started to ask me questions, you know, and it wasn't like rude. She was just wondering like what I'm doing, like, you know, what's going on. And I was like, oh, I'm just, you know, I'm trying to find a job. And she was like, okay. And then one day I was in there and she was like, have you eaten? You know, and I was like, and, you know, I wanted to lie. Just like, oh, I'm fine, I'm fine.
I'm hungry as shit.
Okay. Hungry. Okay, hungry. Right. And she would she'd like take one of the rolls of bread, she cut it, she put that butter in there. You know how they just like to just slather all the butter on there, okay? She put it in a little napkin and then just slide it to me across the counter. That woman sustained me. Okay, she sustained me for a good 6 weeks off of that butter and bread. And I wish, oh my God, I wish I could find her now. She saved my life. And she said to me one day, she was like, every day, you know, she would see me. And sometimes like I wouldn't have a place to go, you know, and work. And so I would come back there and, you know, I'd sit there for like an hour or something. And I'd have nothing to do. I would just sit there. And she would always tell me, oh, Kenny, make me want to cry. She would tell me, today is the day. Every day she would tell me that. Today is the day. And she barely spoke any kind of English. She'd just be like,
but you know what, Bose? I want to tell you
today is the day. Bozy, today is the day.
Yeah. Bose, I want to tell you this, and I think it's a testament to your character. You know, your light is like that though, right? And I'm going to tell you something else that young entrepreneurs and people that really want to get it need to learn. You were going to this particular place every day to use that payphone. You knew it was somehow subconsciously a safe haven for you. You got a relationship from the person. I promise she's gonna pop up. Something's gonna happen. But the testament is that you got up every day and you went to go and see what this temp agency had to offer. Do you realize that is a lost art in of itself?
Woo! Okay.
God bless you, child. Listen,
every day. Kenny, every day.
And I'm gonna fast forward because what I don't think people understand about you, like people see you and they often ask me because they see us in pictures together or see me hosting your fabulous birthday party, whatever. And she was just how was she able? That's why, because she used to stand by the motherfucking payphone with a quarter to call the temp agency. You gotta go and listen, if you don't go through shit like that in life, you can't possibly define success for yourself down the line.
But this is why when every day I would go up to Silicon Valley, be up there at Apple.
Come on.
With people who didn't value my existence.
Wait. Before I have a whole thing. I'm a journalist and I can't go for. I didn't mean to go forward. That hyped you up to go forward.
Okay. So I should get back to Spike. Should I go back to Spike?
Yeah, give me a little Spike because I want to go from Spike until when I caught on to who Bo St. John was.
Okay. So the completion of the story about my angel at Floridita is that one day the temp agency said Spike Lee has fired his assistant and they were like, you need to go and answer the phones at his agency right now.
Right now.
Right now. Yo, I went back to Floridita. I was like, Mommy, I will see you later.
Mommy, thank you for the bread and butter, Mommy.
This is a big one today. And I got on that train and I got to that office and I was just trying to, like just handle myself. And there was like 4 people in the office, including Spike. So he just, he walked back and forth, just walked past me, never, looked at me not one time.
Wow.
And then one day, I was supposed to do it for like a week. And so it was like the 4th day and he was holding this, packet under his arm every day he walked by. And so one day I realized that it was a script. And so I was like, sir, Mr. Lee, is that a script? I mean, this is again the naivete. You know what I'm saying? Right. Mr. Lee, is that a script? What is that you're holding there? He looked down, he's like, yeah, it's my new project. It's called Bamboozled. And I was like, oh, okay, that's great. I was like, can I read it? And he looked at me in the way only Spike can, kind of that slow turn and just who is this little right here?
Right.
And I was like, I don't know. So I was like, and then I had to remind him because he didn't know. And this again is kind of stepping into your power. I was like, well, sir, I have a degree from Wesleyan University. I was an English major, also African American studies. And so I really enjoyed the works of Baldwin and Audrey Lorde and Toni
You better talk your shit.
And listen. And I admire your work and I love your writing and I would really love to read whatever it is that you've written out. Okay.
If you don't put it out there, you don't know what's gonna happen now.
You don't know. So he was like, oh, okay then. So he gave me the script. And the funny thing is he laughed. And I didn't know why he was laughing, but now of course I understood it because he just thought this little girl is not gonna be able to finish this little thing in any kind of time and she's gonna be so overwhelmed by it. So he was like, all right, let me know what you think in 3 days. I was like, oh, okay. I was like, but my time is going to be up in 2 because it was the middle of the week and I knew I wouldn't see him again. So I was like, it's going to be over in 2. And he was like, all right, then finish it before you go. And I was like, oh, okay. So I took it home and then Kenny Burns, I took a red pen to this script and I was reading it and making notes in the margins, correcting grammar, doing all kinds of things. First of all, what? Why was I doing that? Okay?
Who does that? Right.
Who does that?
Bo St. John.
Listen,
Bo St. John.
On the Friday, I come back and I'm like, sir, I finished the script. And he's like, what? He's like, all right, what'd you think of it? I was like, oh, well, I made some notes. And
Here you go, Spike. Yeah.
And I could feel the energy just shift. The whole office was like, oh, it's like, in any kind of black movie, ooh, she about to get it now. Oh my gosh.
Right.
I just started sitting there oh no, I know I did something wrong. And he's like, you made corrections to my script?
The Spike Lee, do the right things script.
And I was like, sir, I just thought that there was maybe some character development or just a few places with some correct could have been. And he was like, oh, okay. He snatched it so hard out of my hand. I think he took my wrist with it. My wrist has never been the same since. And he took that script into his office. And I just knew I was sitting there. I was waiting. I was like, oh man, I'm going to get fired today. I know this is over. And I was sitting there my armpits were itching and I was sweating. And I was just like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Because this was the job. You know what I mean? And he came out of that office he came out of the office an hour later and he was like, "You made some good notes. You should stay." And that was it. That was it. I was there for 4 years. That was it.
Bose, listen. Listen to me and Michelle. Listen to me and Michelle. This is a testament, though. When people, you were at a payphone in front of Florita, right?
Yes.
Bread and butter sandwiches, taking your last quarters, putting them in payphones in the first opportunity, literally, with Spike Lee.
Yeah.
So you go for Spike Lee, because we got some things to cover. You're a very accomplished woman, but I'm going to take you to where I found out about you.
Okay.
I'm in the marketing space. I'm on the spirit side, but I'm also a lifestyle specialist. So my hands and everything. Mm-hmm. And I start to hear ramblings of this, superhero that was taking Pepsi into the music and entertainment side. And so I'm paying attention. And I'm a very precise person, much like yourself, and I want to align myself with people that I should be aligned with. This is as creatives, and I want every creative to hear this. If you see somebody in the world or the pop culture space that you identify with, I think you should try to align yourself. But aligning yourself means that let's respect and see what they do and how you can help that. So I'm looking, I'm paying attention, and I'm like, music and entertainment makes sense. I never really saw Pepsi. Clearly you see Pepsi and you see all these brands, but it was black. Yeah. It was black and it was black. And I'm like, okay. And so, but then obviously, before I go there, so I saw you at Pepsi. You were really making a mark because you were head of marketing for music and entertainment. Talk about that briefly, because I'm setting you up for Beats.
Yes. So that came about because I, again, one of the, crazy parts about my story is that the class of marketers that were at PepsiCo came together after graduating business school, right? And I didn't go to graduate school. And so when I came on board, it was because I had worked with Spike on the first deal with Beyonce for Pepsi. And it was based on my recommendation that they even worked with her. And so the folks at Pepsi were like, oh, well, here's one who understands like culture, like, come on in. And I really didn't know what I was doing, to be honest with you. But I was like, okay, great. This is a good opportunity, right? I was like, oh, I've won the lottery. Like, I'm in with the big dogs. And so I started to do the regular thing. It was like, okay, you come in, you're a manager of a brand, it's like you get your promotions, this and that. And Kenny, things were going well, but it wasn't like in my spirit. You know what I mean? I wasn't feeling
because like your outfit, you're bigger than all of it.
Okay, listen. So I was always doing like the side projects, the side hustles. I was always like asking, our CMO, like, oh, what about this thing over here? What about, like at one point Mountain Dew was losing all of this like credibility in the space, right? And I was trying to get the like sort of the magic back for what was happening. And they were losing a lot because they weren't attracting Black men. And of course, like I said, I lived in Harlem. And so I would go up to Rucker Park all the time. And Rucker, they didn't really have like sponsors at the time, and I was like, yo, if you want to, like translate what is the, the meaning of like testosterone for Black men, it's like, you go to Rucker.
You go to Rucker.
Rucker's where it's at in the summertime. And so we started sponsoring the street ball, and we created this whole thing. In fact, one of the people in my life who's still in my life, Paul Rivera, was playing basketball during those summers, and he joined the Mountain Dew team, because that's what I created. Thank you very much. Mountain Dew, for street ball. And it was so crazy because like that's what my passion was. But I couldn't find it there. Like I was doing the side projects, but it wasn't what was actually like being credited to me. It was like reading the data and like, doing the analysis, which by the way, you need to know in order to run a business, but it wasn't where my spirit was. And so I quit. I left the job, the dream job, and I tried something else, failed at it. It was like a year later, I was like, oh shit, I made a mistake. Now, some say I got fired. I say I quit. Who knows what the truth is, but you know what?
The truth is what you say it is.
Okay, exactly. The truth is whatever I said.
Hello?
So I essentially then left that job after quitting Pepsi. I had the job for a year, another job for a year. I quit that job. And then I went back to Pepsi and I was like, listen, so here's the thing. I really want to come back. I know y'all want me back because, I was a spice. You know that. You know y'all miss me. But I want to be able to affect culture. Like I want to be able to work with culture. And there is no centralized group of people who understand culture the way I understand culture and the way that other people that I know understand culture. We're talking about music and film and fashion and all of those things. In fact, I saw June Ambrose on here. June Ambrose was one of the people that I called on. I didn't know June like that. Okay, but June took my call. June took my call, okay?
Black
and
women superheroes unite.
She supported and she came up to Pepsi and she accepted an award and she made me look fly as hell. I was like, that's my sis right there. I was pretending though because I didn't really know June like that, but I was like, this my homie. You know what I mean? And so, created the music and entertainment marketing group because I was like, this is what is needed. You need a centralized, like a center of excellence in the company for this type of work. And that's how I sold it. Yeah.
Yo, listen. So, again, I started paying attention towards the end, obviously, because it was the music and entertainment division that you headed. It was ironic that before I could even make a move to come say hello, Jimmy Iovine came and scooped you up for Beats.
Yes.
And what a lot of people don't know, this is around 2014, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
And so when he came and got you, it literally didn't last but so long because you guys got acquired by Apple soon after.
Yes.
So I just want you, because this to me, and this is as not just your brother, but you're a fan of like people who go and get it. Because not only did Jimmy Iovine come and get you, and you can start here if you want, but he came and got you in 2014. You sold they sold to Apple soon after, and then you become head of global like marketing for iTunes and Apple Music. Like, this right here, I want you to play in that space because after that, I'm going to define you for the people watching.
Okay, so I mean, this to me, it's probably even for myself. Like sometimes I have to revert back and think about, understanding your own worth and your own power, because all of the experiences that I'd had led to that very moment in time.
Come on.
Because the reason Jimmy and Dre called me was because they said, Beats Music, they had Beats by Dre, of course. And they were like, okay, Beats Music is great. We have something here, but we need to sell this thing and we're going to sell it to Apple. Apple needs people inside of Beats who understand marketing on a large scale and who also understand culture. And they weren't trying to play with anybody who was so corporate that they couldn't talk the talk and also walk the walk. Somebody who hadn't already been in the street, somebody who had already fought for the people, somebody who didn't understand the cultural implications of what they were trying to do. They weren't trying to lose themselves within Apple. And so they came and found me and said, because of the things you've done, would you come and lead marketing for Beats Music? Now, Kenny, the thing is, I didn't know one iota of anything about streaming music. I didn't know anything about tech. I was like, listen, I'm over here selling sodas and dancing my way into clubs. Okay, I don't know what you're talking about, but I want to be a part of that new thing. And so I bet on myself and I moved from New York to LA to join them and to start marketing and head marketing for Beats Music. Little did I know that they were in the process of thinking about how to get the company acquired. So literally on the first day, I mean, I had literally just signed the HR paperwork when Jimmy called me into his office, put on the speakerphone, was like, Bose, please say hello to Tim Cook from Apple. And I was like, he was like, Tim, this is Bose St. John. She's our new head of marketing, and she's gonna tell us how we can turn Beats Music into the next greatest cultural phenomenon. And I was like, oh, I don't even know where the bathroom is.
I wasn't ready.
I'm not ready. I haven't written a strategy. I don't know nothing. I don't even know what and you want me to tell Tim Cook this? So we get off the phone. Tim Cook. So we get off the phone, and fast forward 3 months later, we're literally sitting in Cupertino at the WWDC Worldwide Developers Conference, which is the biggest conference for Pepsi or for Apple for their essentially like to unload all of their software. and we are announcing the acquisition of Beats Music. Now, what happened in the year after that was that we then quickly moved to sunset Beats Music and build Apple Music with the guts of iTunes, with the facade of Beats Music, and then present that to the world. And so that's how I became the head of Apple Music and iTunes marketing.
Well, let me tell you something. This is where we get serious.
Yes,
all
sir.
of that prepared the world for what they are now getting from Bo St. John. And I'm gonna give you some testimony. So when I was watching this, right?
Yes.
It was so quick, the way that you got, from the end of your Pepsi to Beats to Apple iTunes. And not only did I end up coming to meet you literally coming to meet with you to come work with you at the end of this, but what happened was this Black woman, y'all, she not only came in and became an immediate voice, she became an immediate voice in a company that silenced everybody but Tim Cook, prior to him, Steve Jobs. Now, I've never, and trust me, the first day, y'all, I came to meet with her. Andre Harrell, God rest his dead. We're gonna talk about that a little bit. But he literally, was telling her via text, which Bo sent me right after he died, had me fucking, y'all didn't see all them tears, snot in my beard.
Okay.
But I literally went to go meet you, and I'm in there, and I'm like staring at you, right? Because we're people. Like we vibe immediately, but I'm staring at you because I'm like, yo, you are the loudest thing in this building. Like if you were to walk and not talk, you are the loudest. I mean, you had the fucking white fur rug.
Tell him, Kenny. Tell him about my white fur rug.
Listen, I'm sitting here, and I'm literally like, I'm in amazement because as a person who knows industry and to like witness like obviously this monstrosity that is Apple, then to see this carved out piece, which is Apple Beats Music, iTunes, whatever, and for you to be literally the other voice. Like, I mean, you had Jimmy, of course, who's a savant and recognized your talent. You had Dre, who was super silent. And then it was you, and then really your man. So what's his name again? I don't want to discredit him. What's his name?
Omar?
No, not Omar, the other guy.
Larry?
Larry. It was you and Larry. I mean, as far as voices, bitch out to Omar too.
That's right.
Who I think was gone at this point.
Yeah.
Long story short, and you all got paid in acquiring, by the way. That's your personal business. We don't need to share that.
Correct.
But at the same time, you became both like badass both. Like, and I say that because since then, you worked on your terms. You've gone to a job in the highest capacity that a marketing executive can go, and you chose to stay or leave. And that's why when people come to me and they're like, yo, your girl was at such and such Uber, she just left Uber, she's now at da-da-da. And I'm like, because she wanted to. Correct. She saw an opportunity to continue, because see, you started amplifying your voice. That's your calling.
Yes,
all this other job shit is a job. You found your calling in the midst of this. So I just want to tell you, how did it feel to get your superhero cape? You were already a superhero, but you got your cape. You've been flying ever since.
Woo! Listen, Kenny, but that's the real word, though. That's the real word in all of this, and all of the moves and all of the press or, people trying to figure out how you do what you do, blah, 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 blah. The real message is to amplify your own voice, to create your own story, to preach your own narrative. Because as they say, until the lion learns to write his own history, the victor will always be the hunter. So unless you do it yourself, no one is going to do it for you. So believe me when I tell you that I know I'm great. And I will tell everybody I'm great. I don't wait for anybody to say I'm great. I don't wait for people to praise me. I don't wait for them to write articles. I've been doing that. I've been doing it from the beginning, and I won't stop. And so people now say like, oh, well, sometimes you just need to be humble. For who? And for what?
Why?
Why should I be humble? I'm great, and I have worked for this. I have worked for this. I have eaten the buttered roll at Floridita, standing on the corner, holding the payphone. I earned every single minute of this, and I will celebrate it, and I'm unapologetic about it, and I won't stop ever. And so even as I continue to gain more success, because I don't plan to stop anytime soon, I will continue to celebrate myself. Tell him that.
Listen, and I honestly, for someone who has carved his own way in his own life and never walked to Brooklyn for cheesecake, and I don't mean anything by that, but just I had never met anybody like you other than myself. I had never, because I have not, listen, no, I'm giving you your flowers, because I feel like, I'm not college educated. I'm not a bunch of things, right? But you did it in corporate America on the highest level.
Yo.
I don't think you understand what doors you've opened
where they didn't want me,
for Black women.
Where they didn't want me. Where they didn't want me. They didn't appreciate me. They didn't tell me I was doing a good job. In fact, when I was doing a great job, they told me I was doing an okay job.
Come on.
And when I was doing a superior to the job, they told me, oh, it's all right. And when I was beating all of them at their own game, they said, you okay. So guess
let me ask you a question. Wait.
I am going to do it.
Wait, Bose, wait. This is important for our creatives. This is important for people who, because what people don't realize is that we didn't get the battery pack put in our back until we made them respect us. But I want you to speak to something.
Yes.
Let them know how important it is to double down on their superpowers.
Ooh, yes. Because the thing is, oftentimes we look at other people's stories, right? And you wonder how they did it. You want to do what they did. You want to do it the way they did it because you think that will mean the success. But the problem in that, and I think we all know this, is just sometimes we really got to pay attention to it for our own stories because we're so busy comparing everybody to everybody and therefore to ourselves, is that we don't realize the uniqueness that we actually have and the fact that that is truly the superpower. I don't claim to be anything that is different, right? It's just that it belongs to me. It belongs to me. And therefore, I sit very comfortably in it. I can't do everything in the world, Kenny. I can't.
That's right.
But I can do the things that I can do, and I can do them better than anybody because I was given that gift. And so I sit very comfortably in that space. And that's what I want us all to understand. And especially for creators, it's like when you figure out what your own voice is, amplifying your own voice. And this goes back to the celebration of oneself, which is that, yes, of course, we've got lots of successful people and you and I are very much cut from the same cloth, but that's why I can see you and celebrate you. That's why you called me and said, hey, come on my platform. Because guess what you have, I don't have, and what I have, you don't have, but we can celebrate each other in that uniqueness. And so finding the superpower, understanding that superpower, amplifying it, and then not being afraid of amplifying somebody else's is great. Because the truth of the matter is that we have the light, right? We have the light. You can see it right now.
You can see it, baby. I see it, baby. I see it.
It's glistening out here. We've got the light, okay? But the actual power is that when we have our light shining together, we're going to blind the whole world.
Crazy.
It's going to be on such a different level. So I don't want to dim your light. Why would I want to do that?
Yeah.
Why would I want to do that? Let's just make it ultraviolet. Let's make it like a cosmos that no one can ever stop. So for creators, it's like, I just want us to understand our own power in our own voice.
Yes.
Understand that it's so unique and our stories are so important. They are worthy. They are so worthy. Regardless of how you got to where you are, regardless of where you're trying to go to, it is so worthy and it is not too late. It is never too late to find it. So if you haven't found it yet, keep going, keep searching because we all need to hear it.
Yes. You better become Reverend Dr. Bo St. John's on these motherfuckers one time. But I want to say this before we go because unification is so prevalent right now as we go into this election year.
Yes.
2020 is a very, very serious time for us. I don't think we've ever seen a leader, American leader, in our generation, like a Donald Trump, who's not.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't give him the leader title. With that, you know, how important, I think there's a lot of things happening. I've had, obviously, politicos on my show. We've had differences. We've had thoughtful conversations, even though we have differences.
Yeah.
I think you might know where I stand just as far as we have to get 45 out by all means necessary. How important is it for us to, one, get 45 out, and then obviously start to realize our rights from a local, state, and federal level as it adheres to voting, and just how important is the vote in this 2020 election?
Yes. Oh, Kenny, we are aligned in that. We are aligned, completely aligned in the fact that we got to get 45 out. And I'm talking about any means necessary. You know, I've seen a lot of discussion over the last few days about what Biden has said and what he hasn't said and what he's done and hasn't done. And you know what? Quite frankly, there are many ills of many people everywhere. None of us are perfect. You know, take it to the Bible, ye without sin cast the first stone. So let's not just throw all the stones. We've got to get Trump out. Like, we have to do it. We have to do it. And so maybe Biden is not perfect, okay? He perhaps is not perfect, but we need to get Trump out. That is by all means. There is nothing else that matters. And you must vote. You must vote.
And this is why
too many people who had to suffer and sacrifice in order to give us this right. Go and vote. And if you have to mail it in, do it. It doesn't even take that much time. Let's do it.
And Bose, this is why, you know, this is why it's important to be thoughtful in life, because you're 100% right. Everybody has done something they're not proud of. There is room for atonement in that, one, and then two, there cannot be any divisive messaging for the people who are not as thoughtful, because you know, sadly enough, most people, they read the headlines and not the article or the policy. They go by what their favorite celebrity says or someone they look to for guidance, and we have to be responsible. There's not an option not to vote. We are definitely holding people responsible for the Black agenda. We are definitely, but we have to do that with someone in office that will listen to us.
That will listen to us. That's the whole point. You are absolutely right. The problem is right now, we are dealing with someone in office who won't even hang the picture.
Not to his own people. He won't even listen to his own people.
He won't even hang a picture. What makes you think he's going to listen to you? What makes you think that he's going to care about what our society and our culture and our communities need? He's not going to care. And so, yes, we understand that Biden is flawed, okay? He's not perfect, but at least he will do the things that are required for us to thrive. And that's what we need to focus on. Let's get him in office, and then let's mobilize to get our agenda met. That's it.
And also, let's not discredit the Simone Sanders and the people that are in line with him that are very intelligent Black people and for Black people and have proven they are for Black people. And that's the thing about it, and I want to take away, and I want everybody to take away from this conversation today. Being thoughtful will put you in every space you need to be in, every decision you need to make, and everything you need to do in your life. And I just wish and hope and pray for our people that we become more thoughtful and not such sheep.
Yes, exactly. Let's become more thoughtful. And honestly, I think, again, you know, sometimes politics can feel very, you know, it can feel intimidating. You know, like if you don't know enough information, sometimes you can't speak on it. But I want to also encourage all of us to understand that this is not about being the most educated. You know, this is not about understanding policies and politics. Like, you don't have to know everything in order to stand in line with us and get this man out. Okay, so even if you just go to the booth or you go and get your mail in and you just check the box that says Biden, even if you just do that, please do it. We are begging you. It is absolutely critical that we do this together. And so you don't need to be educated in order to do that. You don't need to have all the information. You don't have to be Simone. You don't have to be Angela. You don't have to be all of these other people who know a hell lot more about this than I do.
Yeah, and me.
But we know that our collective power moves things. We've seen that a lot. I mean, listen, we see that a lot. When Black people come together and decide that we're going to do something, we do it. And so why don't we come together to make sure that our agenda is met after we get the right person in office?
Yeah, and you know what? Please, ladies and gentlemen, hear what she just said. we can't just be getting gung-ho about things prior to. We have to continue to follow said all the rhetoric we put together and put in pieces to put out here in the world before the election. That, you know, and I love all of the people that are on the front line that do this daily.
Yeah.
I don't know more than you, but what I do know, 45 has to go. And what I do know, there's work to be done after whoever gets in office, because there is no limit to what needs to be what needs to be corrected as far as Black and brown people are concerned. Nobody's ignorant to the fact that the Democratic Party has used us, because that's what but at the same time, we're not here right now today in the position to make anybody think that there's another option, to make anybody think we're listening to demand, that we're willing to take our demands from someone else, because there's only two options. So we're not listening to 45 and whatever he has to say. He's the one who went up after Charlamagne's interview and did but you ain't black if you don't vote t-shirts on his website. What thoughtful human being, respectable human being does that? So
I mean, it's true. It's true, but that's just it. That's but you're absolutely 100% right, Kenny. This is the thing, is that, like, I think we get so, you know, by the way, actually, let me take this back just a little bit, okay? We are tired. We're tired, okay? We've been dealing with this 400 plus years. We tired, okay? We have been dealing with oppression. We've been dealing with our value not being seen by other people. We have been used and abused. We are tired. We've been lied to, all of the things, okay? And so it's understood. I mean, it is in our DNA. You know how they say you got DNA memory? Yeah, it's in our DNA. We remember the lies. We remember the tricks. We remember how they got us on the boats. We remember how we got kidnapped. We remember all of this, okay? And so I understand that we are now currently also tired. But because of those who survived, because we are their descendants, and all of us, we are all their descendants, okay? That is why we got to get up. And again, this takes us back to the beginning of the conversation. We got to get up every day. You got to get up every day and fight, even when you're tired. So please, again, it's like, for all of us, for all of the effort that we currently put in, for the effort that has already gone up before us, we've got to vote, and we got to get this man out. That's it.
That's it. But I want to tell you this before we go. You know, not only are you necessary, Bose, but you have an offering outside of all of this, you know, marketing and branding and using your superpowers to make brands and people look amazing. I think that there's something in your future that aligns with politics, if that's a game you're willing to double dutch in, because I feel like, you know, you said it. Republicans and Democrats, they bamboozle the party all day long. We know it's about money and power, which is something we effectively should have ultimately, right? Yeah. But I need to put this on your spirit, because it's going to take people that really get it to become politicians now, because we've seen the reality star become president. We've seen, you know, Barack Obama, although he tried like a motherfucker, he only got a couple things done for black folk. What he showed us is that black people deserve to be in positions of power and that they can handle the pressure. That's right. Because Joe Biden was a part of that, I will affectionately refer to him just like Obama does, Uncle Joe. But my point is, Bose, you are someone that can deliver the message, because you understand the struggle. You are your heritage is directly one generation from the motherland. And I believe that there's a certain ancestral superpower that comes with that type of DNA. So I just want to play this on our way out. I don't need no flowers from you, because I know you love me, but it's Africa Day. You know, it's Africa Day, and I love you. I need to see the flags up. I need to see the flags. Follow my sister. I love you. I love you. You are necessary. You are important. Please keep going.
Thank you, sir. I so appreciate you. And you keep going. This is a beautiful platform to celebrate us, and I just so appreciate you. I love you so much. I'm so glad to see you walking in your own power and in your own space and amplifying everything that is important to us. And I thank you. I thank you. I thank you for that.
Absolutely. I love you, sis. Kiss my niece for me, and I will see you sooner than later.
Okay.
Okay, babe. Bye. Love you. Bye.
Love you too.
Happy Africa Day, y'all. If you know a creative that didn't get those gems from the beautiful Bozema St. John, please refer them back to my IG. It's about to go up right now. Tomorrow, I have a very special guest. I think you're going to like it. Until then, enjoy your Memorial Day. One time for all the veterans who sacrificed their lives, who continue to be on the front line for our freedom. We salute you. We appreciate you. We love you. And listen, it's Memorial Day. Get something on the grill. Put your arms around your family. And more importantly, remember those who sacrificed their lives for us. Love y'all. See you tomorrow. It's Kenny Burns Show. Oh, that's Fela, by the way, lady. Go download that Best of the Black President, Fela Kuti. Love y'all. Peace.